Okay, so for this network part, right? This network part is very, very crucial, right? So you need to understand something here. This is a firewall, right? This part is very, very crucial. This is a firewall, right? You must understand this part, whenever you want to, that number one, you want to be able to access your server right, from your system, remotely connect to your server. You must understand this part, right? You want to be able to deploy your application to run on HTTPS secured, which is port 443, or HTTP, which is on port 80. You need to understand this part. These are rules. These are rule sets, firewalls. In firewalls, you configure rules, right? You configure rules for your firewalls on your server, right? So this is it. You can click on edit. Let's click on edit for us to see this thing very well. So I'm going to name this my security group. I'll name it based on my server front end. I'm going to call it front end app security group, right? So I want to be able to identify my security group, my firewall. Then let me give it description. I'll say my description is firewall for my why is this thing hanging? Firewall for my front end front end front end app front end server, right? So we're going to call these. So now look at these guys. So number one thing, remember, we need to be able to connect to our system, remotely connect to our server, right? So what do we need to enable to? What are the rules we need to set here? You need to set SSH rules, which is port 22, right? This is already default selected by default. So if it is not selected by default, check here and always you will look for SSH, and click on it. It will show you TCP port 22. SSH is port 22, remember that. And then what's next? Source type. This source type is your IP address, like what type of IP address you want to connect, you want to use to connect to this your server. I'm using from anywhere. From anywhere means that from any system. Once I have the key pair and my server public IP, I can remotely connect from any system that is not my own or any system as well to this server, to this my server. So I'm using anywhere. Or you can customly set an IP that you want to use, or you use an IP from your this thing. I'm using this IP, right? This is the IP I'm going to use to connect to my server, but I don't want to use this. I want to do from anywhere, right? So once you said that, I'm going to give a description, allow SSH connection, right? So allow SSH connection, right? So then we also need, because I'm going to push an application to this server, I need to open ports 80, And why I'm going to open that port 80, because the web server I'm going to use, web server to deliver my contents, will be defaultly running on port 80. So I need to open that. I need to set that rules, which port 80 is what protocol. Port 80 is HTTP, right? You can see this is it, port 80. And I'm going to say from anywhere as well, right? And I'm going to give you a description here. Allow traffic from port 80, right? So we are done here. This is the only protocols, the only rules I need here, because it is always best to configure the rules that you want. Remember, I could have just set one rules and it will apply to everything that I want to do here. I can use one rules, which is, let me show you, all TCP, and this is the port range from 0 to 655.355.35. What does this mean? This means that any port within this range, I'm using any port within this range. I gave protocol, all protocols to all the old ports, right? But that is not a best practice. That security concern, that's bad, right? That's bad. Somebody can try to use any port, any thing to access your application. Business-wise, you can't do that. Only open the port that you want to use, you want to use, right? Set up the ports that you want to use. Don't open all your ports. It is a very bad practice, security practice, right? Take note of that. It's a very bad security practice, opening all your ports when you know that you're not using everything. You only need 2 ports, right? And you're opening everything. That's bad, right? So we've already opened the 2 ports we need. Then what next? Leave this as default, this 8 gig storage as default.
Hello, Promise, I have a question.
Okay.
So, don't we need to also open for HTTPS?
Okay, HTTPS, I don't need HTTPS. Ask
Is
me
there
why.
a reason? Why?
Why? Because I'm not configuring DNS. This is just for testing this in. Yeah, my application is not going to show secured. It's not going to show unsecured, right? But it will still work, right? I'm not using DNS. When you start using things like DNS, right, routing and all that, you understand why you should use HTTP and HTTPS.
Okay, so basically, since we are not using a domain for it, so there's no point doing HTTP.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, thanks.
Yeah. So I will leave 8 gig as my default thing. Remember, we are using free tier. Don't go beyond this. Stick with this. Then this advanced thing, this advanced step, I would have easily configured all my scripts inside here. And once my server launch, I'll just go to my public IP. I'll see my application. This is called user data. You can do all your scripting inside here and deploy it together with your server. You can do everything inside here, but this is advanced. We are not going to do this now because it is what advanced. Even all the settings, we'll go through it later because this is advanced. We're not going to do this now, right? So that is that. I hope everybody you understand all this, because after this you're clicking to launch our server. So hope you guys understand.
Promise,
right?
please. Is it Promise? I have a question. Oh, yeah, Promise. I have a question. So under this security setting where you have, is it internal security setting? Please, can you just go back to that place? I think it's internal network setting or so.
Inbound.
Where we opened SSH on port 22.
Inbound.
Yes. This guy. Yes, inbound, yes. So this inbound security policy is for, like, when you're done launching the instance, the server, is for you to be able to access the server, right?
Yes, we have
inbounds
and we have outbounds, right? Rule set.
Okay.
Right. So this is inbound. This inbound means that I want to allow a connection into my server, right?
Okay.
So that connection, the first connection we set here, we give here is SSH, right? We open our port 22 on our server. Port 22, which is SSH. SSH runs on port 22. You understand?
Port 22, yeah.
Yeah, we open that port. So, okay, go on.
Yeah, so my question is, can we also, I don't know, because when you were picking the info type, can't we also open, must it be just SSH? Can't you use maybe RDP?
RDP. What's the RDP? RDP means remote desktop was.
Yes. So you know what? That's why I asked. Okay, it's even, I think I saw itself RDP. Yeah. So I was just asking if it's only SSH, if RDP cannot work for it too as well.
No, I've not used this RDP. Reason because most of the tools I've used mostly allow port 22, which is SSH. You understand? Like my CLI is on, I can easily access port 22, right? This server, we are only opening this port now on the server, right? And the tools we are going to use to enter in this server, most of them runs on easily. You can easily get into your server with 22, but I haven't used it. Somebody they told us about this back then, but I think it was somehow ethic, right? So when we use 22, it was easy, very, very easy. You understand? So, but then we can drill down later on the RDP if you want, maybe in our next session, right? Yeah. So just go with your SSH, right? I remember this thing that I chose for my key pair is what PPK. You remember? So all those factors must consider that when you're now coming to choose ports to remote connect into your server. So these ports, we are opening them. Even your laptop has a port. Do you know that your laptop has a port? You can open ports on your system. You can open port 22 on your system for people to connect into your system using your keys, your this thing, but that's not even efficient. Well, if you're using Windows, you can use normal Windows, the normal remote, is it remote desktop, publish, or what do they call it? You know, remote connection tools for Windows, right? Normal Windows, you understand? So, or you just use normal team viewers, but then we are dealing with servers here, and it's almost the same thing. So we're using strictly port 22, and we are opening port 80 for web content delivery. You know, this protocol HTTP hypertext transfer protocol for port 80 without a secured protocol, right? So, and we are accessing it from anywhere, not from my IP or a custom IP, right? So that is that. So once that is done, this place here, you can choose to use this template, this configuration to launch many instances you want, right? You can use it to launch as many as 1,000 instances, right? So why do I want to launch 1,000 instances? So we won't start with. So I just want one for us to practice, or you can do two, you can do 3, 4, 5. So if you want to have the same configuration for this same configuration for others of your servers, like maybe you have a backend servers that will use the same configuration, the same operating system, right? All you need to do is change the name which you will see how to change the name when we finish launching it. So if you know your backend will be using the same operating system, the same version, the same architecture, the same CPU and memory, you want to use the same key, the same, but you can't use the same backend. For backend, you configure more outbound. You have to configure outbound as well, right? So that we'll get to that later in the later days. So this is just a front-end app, and we're good to go with this. So all things configured, and the next thing you see the breakdown summary of our configuration here. Ubuntu 22.0 LTS, right? T2 micro, 1 CPU, 1 gig memory, and our security firewall, then our storage here, which is 8 gig. Then after that is on. This view commands is the command, the predefined command you set in your advanced design. So we are not doing that, so there's no need for this. So you click launch, then our server will be provisioned successfully in less than 1 minute, actually, or 2 seconds. So right. So let me go back to EC2 dashboard. So it is EC2 dashboard. You will see our server very soon. I don't want to go into instances. You see our server. Let me just keep refreshing, keep refreshing. It's still provisioning. Let me go into it. It's still initializing. That's why you're not seeing it there. So you can see this is our server. This is our server ready to host our application, right? So now let me just tick this. You will see the breakdown. You see our public IP. You see our public IP. Always make sure you see your public IP. If it's on private, you're not going to see any IP here, right? So make sure you see both your security key, confirm that your security key was attached to your server, right? So this is it. Our key pair is there, so we can actually log into this server, right? So we have our public IP, which we need, and our key pair to log into this server, right? So every other thing that you want to check, like the status checks, that is still checking, right? Initializing, the refresh, that should be done by now, right? So still initializing, fine. Let that, while that is initializing, we can do whatever we want to do, right? So because since it's already in running state. So let's remotely connect into this server. Let me see if you guys can see my putty. Where's my putty? Jeez, what did I download? I'm coming in, guys. Trying to, don't think I downloaded the right putty. Yeah, 0.7, it's the same thing now. Sorry guys, let me download. Okay. So where is it? No, nonsense I download you. This not Putty website. This is download. This is it now. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my Putty?
No, we can't see it all. We not see it.
Okay. Maybe I need to share it separately. Oh, can I share? Sorry, let me stop sharing, then share the whole of my screen. Can I share the others? No. Screen 1. Yeah. Look. Screen 2. Screen 2. Okay. I want you guys to see both my partial, this thing on the, because I'm using two screen. Okay. Can you see my Putty now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Can you also see my browser?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is what I wanted to achieve. I want you to see my Putty and my browser. All right. So now you have your Putty, you have your server running. Copy your, when you click on this thing that looks like icon here, click on it, you copy your IP. When you copy your IP, your server this thing, your Ubuntu this thing, your Linux this thing name username by default is Ubuntu. By default, remember, is Ubuntu. Then paste your IP. When you paste your IP, then click on this plus sign, SSH plus sign, then click on auth. No, I'm sorry, click on this plus sign on auth, then click on credentials. Then browse where you have your keys, right? See, it automatically detects. So let me say I'm here. You have to look for where you have your keys. Let me push this key to my AWS folder, right? So just gonna copy, where is it, front end app key pair. I'm gonna remove it from here. I'll take it to AWS key pairs, let me paste it here. Front end app key pair, right? So browse, then my AWS key pairs, then select. Once you select, don't click on open yet. Go back to session. Copy this username and password, put it here. Reason because this session, Putty will always terminate you, will always close your session when you're inactive. So you won't want to be going to your AWS to copy your IP address every time. So just save it, save your settings, save it here. Once you save it here, you don't need to configure all those, browse your file, your key pairs and all that. Just save it. Once you're logged out, open your Putty, choose your your setup, and click on load. It will prompt you, take you to your terminal back, right? So we've configured everything, we've saved our settings. Remember, SSH port 22, always on port 22, SSH, not serial, not others, not telnet, port 22, SSH. You understand? Or always on this telnet part, right? Port 22, very important, and SSH. Once that is configured, click on open and click on accept connection. and you will be successfully connected to your server, as you can see. So you can see we are connected to our server. I know you guys must have been waiting to see desktop interface like my icons. I know. You're confused, Abby?
I
Right?
think it's because this is like a Linux environment, right?
Yeah, it's Linux, but then this is server.
Eh.
This is server. It's not a client system that has GUI interface. This is server. Your server will always be command line. You can only operate your server from using commands. So that is why you're called engineer. So this is it.
But if it's a Windows server, sorry, promise, if it's a Windows server, right? Let's say is a Windows server. Will it look like this? Will it still look like this? Is this how the interface will look like?
For let me say for Windows 2019, no.
Okay.
No. So but then there are things that you will do. You won't be you can't find icons to click. You use terminal, your Windows terminal to do that task. There are tasks that you will need to do. You have to use your terminal. There are also Windows, yes, there are Windows that it is just terminal. I think, yeah, there are Windows that is just terminals. Maybe essentially when you want to do things like you want to host something like have something like what do you call it, servers, administrations like DHCPs, all those DHCPs, what do they call it, AD, Active Directories. So all those ones is Go interface.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this meeting is just 30 minutes.
It's actually, is it 30 or be 45? I think the free version is around that kind of 45 minutes or so, and time's out.
Okay, no problem. Maybe we'll do one last session on there, but because we're almost through. So yeah, so this is our server. This is our private IP, right? This private IP, this is it here. This is it here. This is the private IP here, as you can see. You understand? So let me say I want to do ifconfig. I don't know if the tool is there. Ifconfig. Yeah, I need to install the tool. So let me install the tool. Ifconfig, I want to use it to see my IP, right? Next. So
Hello, so promise, can you enlarge your console so we can see the commands you are typing? Yeah, thanks.
okay. So I want to update this server, sudo apt. Remember, we are using Ubuntu, so it's apt. Application, presentation, something, tools also, right? Updates. apt is Ubuntu repository commands. Listen, I'm updating my server. So whenever you provision a server, always update it. First thing first, you update it, right? Because you might run into an error when you try to install two services, right? A particular service. So based on the tasks they gave us, right now, we've done all that, most of the parts. Now install Apache. We told you to install Apache. Let me even check, what do I have here? If I have Nginx, I don't need to install Apache. To check that, I'll use ls. ls is list, ls list. So this is a Linux file system directory. Let me show you guys. Let me show you guys ls, ls import ssh. Let me show you guys something. ls slash ls total 0 y So sorry, I just cleared all the commands so that I'll have a clean face. Let me change this. Can you see the terminal very well?
Yeah.
Okay. Please let me quickly pee. I'm coming. I think this session will end soon. Please, I'm coming. I want to use the restroom. Okay, I'm back. Are you guys there? Or listen. Hello?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. So I thought the meeting must have ended. So let's then let me update this again. Sudo apt upgrade.
So
Sorry,
promise, can
promise.
I
Sudo
just
apt upgrade.
Yes.
Is it to, what did you say? What's that command line for?
I'm
Sudo apt update.
I did updates before. The previous one was update. This one is upgrade.
Oh, okay.
So this
Okay,
one,
the previous one is update.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Somebody was trying to ask.
Yes, I will say if you can maximize your distance because I'm actually using a phone to do. Yeah. Thanks. So promise you are doing this upgrade whenever you launch a new instance, right? Not an existing instance.
But there is always yeah, it's first new instance, always update them and upgrade. So because sometimes when you try to install or do something, you might run into error and you won't understand that error. So a new server, why is it giving you error? So update it. You understand? Run your updates.
All right, thank you.
So, so for existing instance, it's always good to always update your instance. You understand? Always update your instance. Okay, so my instance is updated. I want to see my present working directory. I'm inside home Ubuntu, blah blah blah. So I'm inside this working directory. So now let's install Apache 2. Remember they said we should install Apache 2, right? Am I correct? I did not do that tax, so I want to be sure I'm correct. Was it
Which tax? Is it in the module?
last week tax?
Maybe I'm not sure because I couldn't even register, so I don't even know what the tax is.
They said after you open your AWS account, spin up launch an instance, install Apache.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to install this thing. It's not different from what you've seen so far. Sudo apt. Okay, I said I wanted to see if I have nginx running sudo system ctl status nginx. I don't have nginx. Do I have Apache? I don't have Apache. I don't have Apache, so I don't need Apache. What I need is Nginx.